Broadcasting from the Meredith Hall Studios out of Carson City, Nevada. You're listening to Covering the Field with Big Richard Martin, Gator Gates, and Joe the Answer Ellison.
Welcome to the Covering the Field Sports Show. I'm Joe Ellison, and I'm not wearing any pants.
You're not wearing any pants?
No. What the heck?
Hey, keep your hands above the table all time, everybody. Everybody with hands above the table. We got Pantless Joe over here. All right. I've heard of these kind of shows before, but nothing like this. I don't know if this is in my contract. I'm talking to Cornelius at this moment.
We're looking at him. You sure about this?
He's got his pants on. We're good. All right, let's continue.
Well, to my right is Mr. Big Richard Martin. To my left is Mr. Gator Gates. What an exciting week of sports. Let's get started. Big Rich, when we left off last week in the NBA, Miami was leading Boston 3-1. How did the Eastern Conference Finals finish off?
Well, Boston bounces back. They rise from the ashes. Everybody was burying them, said they were done. We buried them on the show. I think everybody who knows anything about basketball thought there was no way they could come back from a 3-0 deficit. And obviously you can't, because it's 150 times it's happened, and 3-0, and it's never happened yet. But, I just want to talk about the coaching from last, when we were talking last week, Eric Spoelstra, everybody was like, he's the master coach, and Joe Mazzulla's the amateur. It was like Grasshopper and Sensei. I mean, it was like he was out of his league. And then, they bounced back and they won games. Was it 4 in Miami and 6 in Miami? So is that the same task that Eric Spoelstra did by winning game 1 and 2? I mean, they won 2 road games. I mean, I think that, why is everybody, everybody's still on Mazzulla. It's not his fault the way the game turned out. We'll go into that. But if you win 4, Miami just continues to prove everybody wrong. I think everybody, including all the sports announcers on the major networks, were saying there's no way in hell that Miami's going to win game 6. You're going to see the same thing, same Jason Tatum. He's going to throw a monster game up, right? And I was like, why does everybody keep doubting Jimmy Butler and the Miami Heat? I just don't understand it. And they're still doing it. And Miami plays like a team. It's somebody different every night.
Well, the Celtics did give them 2 games out of the series. I would say they gave them game 3 and game 7.
Well, Miami gave him game 6, or the guy that's running the clock, because that 0.3 seconds.
Yeah. Well, game 5 actually was a real dud. Boston won that easily. But game 6, that was the one, the last second tip in by Derek White. Shouldn't have never even got down to that. Al Horford fouled Jimmy Butler on that 3-pointer. And he makes all 3 free throws to take the 1-point lead.
Was there any doubt in anybody's mind he was going to make it? He is Mr. Clutch. I wasn't even like, it's over. Foul. But they reset that clock from 2.1 to 3 seconds. And if you look at that clock, it was actually 2.8 seconds left. So when White makes that tip in with 0.1 seconds left, that actually would not have counted. Yeah, and I would have been able to cash my ticket, because I'm not sure they're going to close out in game 6.
So Boston's now the 4th team to force a game 7 in the history of NBA playoffs.
Well, we have to talk about Caleb Martin, I think. Can we give our guy from Nevada a little bit of credit? Him and his brother, it's Cody. It's not Chris or Cam, as everybody says. It's Cody Martin. They both played up there in
Nevada.
Okay, and I'm going to give you guys a sink or swim right off the bat. They are related to Kenyon Martin.
I didn't hear anything about that, so I'm going to sink on that one.
You're not saying
because I'm not sure. I have no clue. I'm going to say swim, just totally opposite.
Okay, good.
Because I have no clue.
No. Actually, Kenyon Martin's son does play in the NBA, but he plays for the Houston Rockets.
Oh, really?
But we have to give us.
I would guess that all Martins are distantly related.
Okay,
he's only related to you.
All right. So, Big Richard Martin is nowhere as good as basketball player as Caleb or Cody, and but I'll give you another sink or swim. They both were undrafted.
That's a swim.
I'm going to swim on that. I know Caleb was not. I'm not sure about Cody. Maybe Cody was drafted late in the 2nd round. I'm trying to remember, but I'm going to say sink.
It's a swim, Cody. You're exactly right. He was the 2nd round, 36th pick with Charlotte. Caleb was not drafted. But let's give a shout out to their mom. I saw a great story on them, Jenny Bennett, their mom. So we don't see nothing about their dad. So you guys might be right on the swim with Kenya, because Kenya Martin might be the father. We don't know. There's no sign of the father, but I could tell you that she raised those boys with her older brother, 3 boys in a 300 square foot trailer in North Carolina. And she worked 3 jobs to provide for her family.
Yeah.
And they both said in their interview, this is not a cliche, my mother is my hero. Shout out to her for raising 2 great, and their other older brother is a assistant coach for Arkansas. So they're both all doing well. Thanks. Good job, Mom. You should get a very good Mother's Day present. Something like a Mercedes, BMW would be nice. But I'm
championship ring.
Championship ring might be it. Exactly. But anyway, I mean, but it's Jimmy Bucket Butler. Do you think he's smooth as creamy?
Oh, he's excellent. He deserves a trophy too. I agree.
But did you watch the end of it after they did beat him? I mean, he wouldn't even hold. I mean, Bam Adebayo would not even let him. He was like, "Do you want to hold the trophy?" I'm like, Bam act like he won the MVP, walking around with the trophy. No one else could hold it. And then Jimmy Butler looked at it and goes, "I don't even want to hold that."
Right.
Like,
Exactly.
he had his MVP trophy on the side, and he wasn't even lifting it up. He was like, he's all about. He wants the finals trophy.
That's the old hockey tradition where you don't touch the conference championship trophy, and now NBA's taking that on.
Well, Jimmy Butler is Bam was carrying it all around like it was his. He's going to go take it, put it in his house.
He's going to start a trend. I've got a feeling.
So, what was Missoula's answer after Game 7?
Game 7, man, 103-84. That was the lowest they scored all year in any game. 84 points, 9 of 42 from 3.
They've killed half of the forest because everybody took the over, and on those they ripped up those tickets after the forest went down by printing all those over tickets. It was over 203. I think everybody loved that.
Well, in all fairness, Jason Tatum did get hurt, and he had a terrible game. Had he been healthy,
okay. Well, let's talk about how terrible it was, because Missoula, that's part where you probably did get out coached, because Miami shot 50%, 14 for 28, and Boston shot 9 for 42, 21%. So after the interview, Missoula says, we shot 20%. So how do you expect to win? Well, you're at home and you find somebody else has to step up like they do. It might be, Vincent Gage, might be Galen Martin, 26 points. Could be, my
buddy Robert Williams was shooting 70%, hardly touched the ball.
Yeah, so, exactly. I was looking how much he hardly played. I mean, his minutes were so far. I think they were in the 17s or 15 minutes he played.
I didn't get that. But we did predict Miami in 7. At least I did.
So. Yeah, we all took Miami. We all love Miami.
Circuitous route.
Right. I mean, no one saw that coming, but it was a great series. But when Tatum says, I was a shell of myself, I mean, Tatum, you shot 1 for 4, 3-point line. You shot 5 from 13 from the field. Jaylen Brown, 1 from 9 from the 3 points.
He gets contagious.
Marcus Smart, 1 for 6. So as a team, they shot 36% from the field, and 15. The top 3, they shot 36 from the field, and they shot 15% from the 3-point line. So no one stood up as that next person up, and that's what Miami does. It's somebody different every week. Sometimes Jimmy Butler will throw 38. Sometimes he'll have 20. And I like about Jimmy Butler, he doesn't look to shoot every time. Like that at the end of the game, we know LeBron was going to take that shot. If it's not there, Butler's going to pass it. And I'm like, God, I mean, I can't believe how unselfish he is with that ball, and he trusts his other players, and he's a dog out there fighting all the time. So it was a great Game 7. It was great series. I think we saw something great, and I'm thinking, I mean, Missoula got that job on the night before training camp started. Because was it Coach Udoka, was dipping his ink in the company pen ink, and gets in trouble with an extramarital affair. He gets fired, and Missoula had to come take that team over. And I thought he did a good job. I think he has a lot of fire, spunk. I've seen him throw his clipboard. I mean, so. I
don't feel sorry for those Boston fans who paid upwards of like $4,000 for those tickets to see Game 7. They were horribly disappointed.
Yeah, there was silent or it was booing going on. There was not a lot else. It was probably one of the saddest. When they got the trophy, it was so quiet in there. We only heard 12 people clapping, and they were all on the Miami bench. There was for the Eastern Conference final celebration.
it was quiet.
That's what happens when you're on the road.
Right.
So now Miami takes on Denver, NBA Finals. How do you see that shaping up?
Well, I think we go to game one. We have to look at Denver will be on a 10-day rest. This is their 9th day right now, rest. And so, and they're waiting for the Miami Heat coming off a grueling Eastern Finals, 7
Monday,
games.
travel to Boston.
Monday travel,
Went
2 days rest.
Travel to Denver.
So we have to look, is it going to be maybe rust with a 10 game? I mean, you can't emulate game time basketball. You can practice, but you can't emulate. I mean, you can see LeBron James shoot, 12 straight 3-pointers, 20 straight 3-pointers, and then comes in the game and goes 1 for 9. You know what I mean? So you can't emulate during the game shooting, even though you're in practice and you're practicing against each other. And I'm sure Michael Malone, he seems a lot happier. I mean, it looks like his antidepressants are working. He was actually smiling on the interview, wasn't crying or yelling. So he was more happy as team. But, for them, is that a disadvantage too? Because they only had 2 games to prepare because you don't know who you're playing.
Right.
Because that's Boston is a total different team than Miami. You have to have a different way to play. It's pretty easy when you got the best player in the NBA. So that part is easy. But
yeah, it is quite the contrast. Miami lost their first play-in game. They were losing the second play-in game with like 3 minutes left. It's amazing they're even here. Well, Denver, they're a number 1 seed. Right. So that's a 1 against an 8. There's only been one other 8 seed to make the finals ever. It's pretty amazing.
But they were the 1 seed last year. So, I mean, they you can see where you see them really doesn't matter once you start playing. And basically, you have to do it on the road.
But I guess what I'm trying to say is they almost didn't even make it.
I know.
And that's all.
Do you guys think that the line's not too high?
Well, the spread's 9, right?
Well,
it's 9 right now.
I'm talking about the series. Series is at a minus 420.
I know.
That's a lot.
And it's 360. But you know what the odds were at the beginning of for Miami?
350.
For
plus 350.
No, before it started, when they had their first game at the play-in, when they lost Atlanta.
No.
They were minus, it was 150 to 1.
150 to 1. That's what I got.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that would have been a nice $10 bet.
Yeah, that sure would.
Another contrast, Miami lowest elevation, Denver highest elevation. That's an advantage for Denver for sure. That was April 12th, by the way. I got that sheet and it says 150 to 1 on Miami. Denver, you could have got 20 to 1 before the season started. That's the best odds you could have got on them. Right. So they were supposed to be good.
So we go to game 1. Let's just look at game 1 before we go. Let's talk about game 1, because we're talking about, is it going to be, a tired team versus a mile high altitude? I mean, all the analytics they take Denver and drop the 9.
Absolutely.
But
yeah,
how do you go against Jimmy Butler? We'll see what Miami's done in their first game 1s. Okay, so Miami, they beat. Who did they beat in game 1? They beat Boston.
Milwaukee.
They beat Boston by 7. They beat New York by 7, and they beat Milwaukee by 13. All in game 1s on the road.
Yeah.
So that's not anything. That's money line bet. That's not a bad money line bet to say that's going to happen. Okay,
right.
Denver. Let's look what they've done in their game 1s. They've hosted every game 1. Of course, they haven't lost at home.
Right.
They beat Minnesota by 19. They beat Phoenix by 18, but they beat LA by 6.
LA came back.
They came back, and Austin Reeves had 5 3-pointers at the end. And so I think what we have to really look at is the rebounding. Are they going to be too tired to rebound? I mean, I know that Jason Tatum had 10 rebounds, 8 offensive, because he kept missing, getting his own shot. I mean, it's the only reason he was, shooting horrible from the field, was getting his rebounds. So, I mean, LA, their rebounding is so much superior. So we have to look at, not LA, Denver. Yeah. So, I mean, and you look at, I think they out rebounded LA by 15 rebounds in that game 1. Yeah. So if they can get the rebound and have that kind of stuff, one and dones, I think Miami's going to be in trouble.
Yeah, it looked like Boston was out rebounding Miami a lot too, even though they were getting beat.
Well, because they're missing their shot, Joe. They can't make shit. So I mean, they were. But anyway, you're right. They are. So it's just like, I think that's a big advantage having, because I think Eric Gordon, very great rebounder. You have of course Jokic. Mm-hmm. And they just, and you have at 6'10", you have Michael Porter Jr. So you have some rebounders on a team. Michael Porter Jr.'s had double doubles, and of course Djokovic, has had 8 triple doubles. So I think that's what you think they can out rebound them up there. If they can keep even on the rebounding, they're going to cover the 9.
All right.
So all the analytics say it, but I mean, They played twice this year, and both times Miami beat them. How many times, Joe, have they played in the last 2 years? What's the record?
Oh, how about the last 5 years? Denver has beat them 9 out of 10 times, and they've covered the spread 9 out of 10 times against Miami in the last 5 years.
Right.
It's all Denver in this.
That's what
I think the analytics say take it, but I can't go against Jimmy Butler. I'm going to say somebody's going to step up, and these kids are young. I know they've only got 2 days rest. But if they had more time to plan, if Michael Malone could have had more time to plan to know what team he was going to play, I think maybe they can do something with it. But I mean, let's just see. I think Denver comes out rusty, and I might be wrong, but I think Denver comes out a little rusty on the threes. That's how they smoke the Lakers, because every time Jamal Murray shot a three, they got close. He was smoking the Lakers and trying to get their comeback. So I'm going to take the points in game 1, but I'm taking Denver in the series.
Yeah, well, when you, I really don't know what's going to happen in this first game, but when you look at the way they played so far in the playoffs, well, first of all, when they played each other, those 10 games, 6 went over and 4 went under. In the playoffs, you can see Denver, 8 out of 14 games, 15 actually, 8, 6, and 1 over. Miami, 11 and 7 over in their playoff games. Miami's decent on the road, right?
Yeah,
6 and 4. So.
And 5 road teams won in the Eastern Coast Finals.
They've actually covered the spread more, 13 and 5 against the spread.
They went outright in the first game 1.
Denver's 9 and 6
right.
against the spread in these playoffs.
Right.
But I'm just going to stick with the over personally. And
so you like the 219 over?
Yeah, I don't like it, but both games of this year also went over that number, so I think it's going to happen. And the West has the advantage the last 10 years too. Won 6 out of the last 4 championships, so the West. A slightly stronger conference over the years, but we'll see how that goes.
Well, because that's when Golden State's playing in there. So,
West is West.
West is West.
Yep. Couple other notes. I guess we should quickly move on to. We can talk about the refs. So they don't like to call fouls unless you miss a shot first, and then they call a foul.
Well, I thought it was like the Janet Jackson 3-second delay, make sure that she wasn't naked before they can show it. I mean, is that what they're doing? A 3-second delay every time you shoot? If it goes in, no foul.
If it doesn't go in,
the whistle blows, and you're already breaking the other way with the rebound. So,
how about Eric Lutz, this burner account for a referee?
Yes.
What's with that?
That's when LeBron had his meltdown. That ref didn't call that when he's clearly hit him on the arm,
right? And
they already burned their timeout. So, their challenge. So they couldn't challenge the play, which he clearly hit his arm. And there's some pictures on Twitter of his family wearing Boston jerseys.
That's right.
Yeah. And
so there could be something to that.
Don't be cheating against LA. We're going to catch it.
And Kenny Atkinson's now the coach at Milwaukee. Nick Nurse, the coach at Philly. They went from a doc to a nurse.
That's funny. Yeah.
How about that for a head coach? Right. Doc Rivers is gone. Nick Nurse is in.
Yeah, they always say, if you're married to a nurse, the best way to get over a nurse is to get under a doctor. So, maybe I don't know how it's going to work, but
we'll see how that works out. But he's an excellent coach. So, Gator, let's move on to hockey. Well, we make our series
I haven't told you mine. I had Denver all the way. I'm going to stick with Denver, but I think I like the spread. I like the spread in 9. I think if you take just all the games and just take Jimmy Butler and the points, you probably most of the time you don't even need them. So I think they win at least 2 games. Don't you think, Joe? They get at least 2 games.
I wish it was a 2-3-2 because now 3 of the first 5 games are going to be in Denver. So I'm going to say Denver in 5, but I hope I'm way wrong because my money is on Miami to win it all.
Win it all, sure.
So we'll see.
So you're going to bet, you're going to hedge it, of course.
I don't see how I can.
Well, you have Miami.
I can lay 420, or I could just say, Denver wins in 5, Denver wins in 6.
Okay.
Do the props. I think that might be the way to go.
I think take Miami in the points. What do you think, Gator?
In the first game, I think you take do that because I think Denver's still going to win, but I'm not sure they're going to cover. I think that Denver's going to win the whole thing. At least, I don't know if in 5 or 6, probably 5 because of the way that the schedule is.
2-2-1-1-1.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
So I'm thinking that, but it could be 6.
One thing you got to look at, the game is Thursday, and then it goes again. Is it Saturday? Sunday. Yeah. So you get 2 days break in between, and then the hockey kicks off, and we'll kick off
Saturday.
Hockey kicks off Thursday.
Well, let's move on to hockey. When we last met, Vegas was leading Dallas 3-0. Looking to sweep. What happened to during the rest of the Western Conference Finals.
Okay, well, game 4, Vegas did score the first goal just after the 4-minute mark into the game. But on a power play, Dallas tied it right back up with Jason Robinson. Halfway through the second, Vegas again took the lead back with Jonathan Marchessault, but scoring his 8th of the playoffs. But again, Jason Robinson scored again in the second to bring it back to a tie, Joe. So there was no scoring in the third, but in the overtime, Joe Pavelski scored with 3:18 into the fourth and sent everybody home. So another overtime.
Yep.
Another overtime.
That was exciting. Kept it alive. Of course, game 5, Dallas kept that momentum going. Surprisingly, huh?
Yeah, but that's what's great about the hockey playoffs. All these overtimes, it's always a coin flip.
Mm-hmm.
Coin flip.
And there's not really home ice advantage like we've said before.
Right. No. There isn't. No such thing. Not really.
But, yeah, surprised Dallas win game 5 in Vegas.
Yeah, because I didn't think they were going to win, Joe.
No.
So I was surprised.
And
but then the next one, game 6, is on Saturday, was not surprising after seeing what we just saw in game 4. It wasn't surprising to me that Dallas would win 4-2. The story in this game, though, this was surprising, was Ty Dellandrea scoring 2 goals in the third at 10:35 mark to take the lead, and again less than 2 minutes after that to ensure the game. So that was great, Joe. I really thought that was
unsung
great.
hero.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, game 6, that was unsung zeros on that. 6-0. Jamie, I was, Jamie Ben did come back after the 2-game suspension. I thought, that was excessive.
Yep.
Because Peter Angelo only got 1-game suspension when he took the 2-hand hammer to Leon Draisaitl.
No, you have a very good point there, Joe. I agree.
I thought that was unfair, but in the end, it didn't seem to really matter, did it? Because,
Well, William Karlsson
shut up.
Well, William Karlsson had 2 goals, and he's one that kind of led the 6-0 route.
Yeah.
So Dallas had really nothing to cheer for. All those fans went there
at all.
We heard the horn go off, and it was on the wrong end.
Yeah, well, Vegas scored pretty early, like maybe 3 minutes in, and you go, here we go again.
Yeah, because they scored first in every game, Joe.
Pretty much. I think they did.
I think it was every game. Yeah.
Okay, so
Oh, let's talk about Florida. I mean,
we're getting there.
Okay. Because that's the hottest team in hockey.
Well, Big Richard, if you like Sergei Bobrovsky, he's at 2-1 to win the Conn Smythe Trophy. If you like, or if you want to go off,
you get 2-1. You get 2-1 if you is that the MVP?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then Matthew Tkachuk is at plus 250.
So what would you do to Florida? What would be your odds of Florida to win
the whole thing?
Yeah, just to win the series.
What's my odds?
No, what would be the odds for Florida? Who's favorite?
Yeah, it's
plus 110. So you got better odds if you go take the 2, just like you would do with Patrick Mahomes to win the Super Bowl.
Correct.
If you think that probably the goalie will be the MVP, just like you would think Patrick Mahomes, you get better.
You would
odds.
Think, because that's how they're probably going to win it. He's going to have to play amazing. But Florida, kind of a surprise this year, but they did win the President's Trophy last year. They were really good. This year, they had the fewest points of any playoff team, which is hard to believe. Even Calgary had a point more than them and didn't make the playoff.
They started off terrible, though, Calgary.
But when you look at the teams that the Panthers beat, Boston, Carolina, and Toronto, they were all in the top 4 in points this year.
Just like my
and that's only happened 2 other times, and those 2 teams ended up winning the Cup.
Correct.
So that points to Florida is just amazing. They've only lost 1 game since April 23rd. They're 11-1 during that time. Oh my God!
Since they dropped those 3 to Boston,
but Joe,
and then they just went on fire.
This is like deja vu, though, boss. With Joe with Carey Price, and I swear we were saying the same things with Borowski here. I just don't want the same thing to happen. I mean, I'm picking Vegas to win the whole thing, but boy, if Bobrovsky can be as good as he's been, he can shut down Eichel and Marchessault and Stone.
And they're rested also. They're rested. They haven't played, right? I mean, they have a little bit of advantage.
Right. Now, if you want to go back to the Conn Smythe, if you guys like Vegas, of course we do. Jack Eichel is at a plus 375, and Jonathan Marchessault is at 5-1, Joe. That's the one that I like.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to give it to the goaltender if Vegas wins it for some reason.
Well, Hill is at +12, and I kind of agree with you, Joe. I think it's if Vegas is going to win, they're going to have to do it on offense, and they have to get it past Bob Rofsky. That's to me, that's the series. Can Rofsky keep it out like a Patrick Waugh or Martin Brodeur or somebody like that?
So far, he has.
And so far, he has.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to take Florida in 6. I think they're going to win one of these first two in Vegas. I mean, they've been playing way too well.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're going to be amazing at home. I maybe give up game 5 in Vegas and win game 6 at home. So that's my call on that.
You're taking Florida.
I'm going to take Florida. They're just playing way too high.
Yeah, they're
and I get plus money on it too.
You get plus money on it, and then you get even better if you go with the goalie.
Mm-hmm.
You win the MVP.
Well, I'll take Vegas. I'll take Vegas in 6 or 7. I more than likely I want to see 7. Why
That'd
not? Yeah, this whole year has been kind of like that, so why not?
Well, Florida on April 19th, before the playoffs started, they were 150 to 1.
How nice!
It's like just like Miami, 150 to 1, because they're not going to possibly get past Boston, right?
Right.
So they're going to be done immediately. Well, here they are.
Well, yeah. Well,
Vegas, you could have got like.
Well, I think if you're a Miami fan, they took care of the Celtics in basketball, and they took care of the Bruins.
Yeah.
And so they're giant killers.
Yeah.
They're both 8 seeds, right?
Yeah.
So if you imagine you get that part,
seeds are different.
Yeah, a little bit different hockey, but still, I mean, they're still they had to play the number 1 seed.
Right. You would consider them an 8 seed, yes.
We're going to be seeing a lot of rats on the ice. Do you want to explain the rat story?
Well, what I know, Joe, is back in what was it, 96?
95? Mm-hmm.
Back in 95, they were in the locker room, and there was a rat that was in the Florida side, and the captain, who was
Scott Millenby,
smacked it.
The old Miami arena.
Yeah, smacked it with his hockey stick and
against the wall.
Well, against the wall, yeah. But the thing is that he scored 2 goals in that game, Joe. Mm-hmm. So now if you score 2 goals in Florida, they call it with a rat trick. The rat trick.
That was John Van Beesburg.
A rat trick, okay.
Okay, and
that's why they throw the black rat.
That's why.
Only if they score 2, somebody.
Anytime you score a goal, they're just going to throw it
out there. Or if they went on somebody else's.
What about with the time where they won it and then they said you didn't win it? They said no good. They had to pick up all the rats.
Pick up all the rats. That's the way it goes.
But they sell those rats.
Yeah, well, that very next game, one fan threw a rat on the ice, and boy, it caught on big time. So there's a tradition. And
like the squid in Detroit.
Well,
and your buddy Patrick Waugh was bombarded with rats in the finals.
Yeah, he had to get under the net,
but he ended up winning it all. So, okay, so we have a little. We have our predictions, right?
In 4 overtimes.
Okay,
so I'm gonna take Vegas. I'm going with Vegas. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go with Gator.
Rat.
Yeah, I know, guys. We'll stay in Nevada. We'll keep our teams. We'll keep our Nevada.
There you go.
Well, Gator, we have a little reviewing to do. Last Sunday was supposed to be Motorsports Lover's Dream. Races from morning till night, but NASCAR's race got pushed to Monday because of rain.
Mm-hmm.
Still, it was an exciting day. But anyway, we could start with Monday's race, the NASCAR, the Coca-Cola 600. How did that go?
Okay, well, Denny Hamlin accused Chase Elliott of intentionally wrecking him in turn 4 on lap 186. Now, Chase Elliott did get suspended for 1 race. He's going to be out for this next race. But, yeah, they said that Elliott made a move that they call the right real hook. And Bubba Wallace did the same move in the playoffs to Carl Larson's and received a 1-game suspension, 1 race suspension. Mm-hmm. So I guess it's fair, Joe.
Okay.
But Ryan Blaney's 4, he won. Second was William Byron, Chevy, and Martin Truex, my guy, Toyota, he received 3rd.
Blaney could have got it 25 to 1. There was money in that race. For sure.
There's a lot of crashes. That was a great race. They were pounding each other. I mean, how many times did Brad Keselowski? I mean, he kept he had a great. They put him in the wall, and then Harvick, and then who was the favorite?
That's why I thought the Oscar race would be better there.
Who was the favorite 5-car?
Larson.
Larson. He was in 3rd. He all of a sudden he just spun out. He didn't get bump drafted or nothing. He just spun out. Pick out a bunch of players and they're racers, and so
makes it more interesting.
And make it more interesting. And 600 is the longest race, and
Yeah,
it was good. And obviously Blaney had the fastest car. There's no question. He was out front most of the time. Besides, Reddick was there for a while. Reddick, the Michael Jordan car, the baby blue.
Well, that's what I like for next. That's what I like this next week.
Next up, Madison, Illinois.
Yeah,
Logano won last year.
St. Louis, East St. Louis. That's in Illinois.
Mm-hmm.
Correct. It's in Madison. Correct. Last year, like you said, Logano won the Chevy. The Chevy was Eric Jones in 7th, and Toyota finished 2nd and 3rd with the Bush brothers. But like I said, I'm going to go with Toyota, and I'm going to go with Reddick.
Reddick. Oh, I thought.
What about last year when? Who got put? Hamlin got put in the wall by Ross Chastain, and then he spun out Chase Elliott.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, so last year, he started the bad boy then, and
that's
so
right.
maybe it's a 1.25 mile track, correct? It's a 1.25 mile.
I don't know about this one, Joe.
It's 1.25 miles.
I'm not sure at all.
I can't remember.
It's a 300, so
when I saw it was a 300, I was just thinking it was like a road course for a minute, but I can't remember last year's race.
Yeah. But it's a 1.25 miles. And I don't know if that's a road course, but I know it's an oval course because it changed.
It's a long course.
It's an oval. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So we have predictions there. What occurred in the 107th Indianapolis 500? Okay. Well, greatest spectacle in racing, of course.
32-year-old Jeff Newgarden, my favorite driver.
Newgarden.
He's 14-1, and he won the 107th Indianapolis 500. Now, he was having a so-so month. That's why I didn't pick him on the show, and I went with VK. But Renus VK, he hit the pole sitter, Alex Palou, in the pit road when they were going to the pits. And they did have to work on Alex's car. And he did finish in 4th, Joe. That was amazing. And VK actually finished in 10th. So that was really amazing to me. I guess the story, though, Joe, about this race was that tire that hit that car.
Yeah, we got that wreck. That was Kyle Kirkwood, right?
Yeah, that's correct. Kirkwood
got in the wreck. He just kind of innocent, driving along. Somebody wrecks in front of him. Boom, crashes into him. Felix Rosenquist was the guy. He lands upside down. So anyway, enjoy the game and some pretty amazing. Got some squares. That was awesome. But that tire was certainly very scary. Flew over the grandstand.
Yes.
Luckily, and people have got killed watching these races before by flying tires that come loose and
hit some lady's car, hit her windshield.
Hit this girl's parked car. Yeah. Well, she got famous all of a sudden.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But that was Penske, Roger Penske, who owns the track now. What
weekend for Penske?
Yeah, his 19th win. And Newgarden, the first American to win in 7 years. So that was good.
So our producer just said the Motor Speedway at Gateway is 1.25 miles.
That's a mile and a quarter. That's what Big Rich just said.
Yeah. That's odd. That's an odd size.
It is odd, but you're right, Big Richard. Yep.
That was the 3rd closest finish in Indy history too. So that was pretty exciting. Passing him on the last lap.
It was exciting. It was a great race.
And that was Newgarden's 12th start. That tied a record for winning it because he probably thought he was never going to win it. But I feel very deceived personally. I always bet the Penske cars, and I won with them plenty of times. But I didn't bet him this year. Newgarden himself, he says, quote, "We're just not fast enough," right before the race.
Yep.
And I'm like, okay, well, I'm not going to bet any of these guys. Power started 12th, McLaughlin 14th, Newgarden 17th.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, well, maybe they are fast enough.
Maybe at Belmont we could get the same advice, like my horse just isn't fast enough. Stop betting on the wrong horses.
Yeah. So Penske lately, he hadn't been doing that good. Only 2 even hit the top 10 in the last 3 500s.
Oh, wow.
He had 11 starters. I mean, just terrible. In another stat, only 4 of the last 35 winners started 16th or lower. There's no way you're going to pick Newgarden if you look at any of those stats. No. So I feel kind of cheated out of this because I would normally bet Penske. So I was very disappointed. But of course, the wreck was really maybe the most exciting part
Yeah.
And critic Catherine Leahy, she raced but finished last. She had mechanical problems. We had a lady in the race, hadn't had that for a few years. Finally, we can't leave out the Grand Prix of Monaco. What transpired on the streets of Monte Carlo?
Okay, well, Max Verstappen, no surprise there, won in the rain. He was even money, Joe, when we were talking about this on the last show, and then I guess he went up at a minus 175.
Yeah, we talked about how it's very difficult to pass on this circuit. So we said, whoever wins the pole, you should probably bet on him. He won the pole by only like 8/100ths of a second, but that's like massive.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But
so did he win? He went from the whole. He won the whole thing.
Yeah,
he was in first the whole time.
First the whole time.
Well, Fernando Alonso did have a chance. Fernando Alonso did have a chance to get Max, but on lap 54, the team opted for slick tires and had to pit again a couple laps later to put on intermediate tires. Where Max Verstappen on lap 55 put on intermediate tires, and that was his third race of the year that he won and his fourth victory of the season.
He's the guy.
He's the guy.
And his odds went, when I saw him, he was minus 300. So people pounded that 175 up to the minus 300.
Red Bull is still has won every race, Joe.
Yeah, domination. Yeah, and you're going to be betting minus 300 again or 250 this week too, if you bet that one.
Exactly. So Alonso, he did end up in second, and Esteban Ocon, Alpine, he hit the podium in third.
Okay. So we have to touch on some other sports. The college women's softball World Series begins tomorrow, which I love watching this stuff. Oklahoma, of course, we've been talking. They continue to build their dynasty there. Third straight national championship, possibly. They just set a new record with their 48th straight victory. Wow.
And it still doesn't look like he's going to come close to him.
Yeah. Well, they broke that record 47 by Arizona, 86 and 87 season. Sooners 56-1 this year.
Sure.
Minus 700 to win it all now. We were telling people better jump on that too.
Who's the team that beat them? Are they in there? I have to get our
there's trivia. Well, I know, but
who was it?
It was Baylor.
Are they in there?
No.
Well, then they ain't got a chance.
No. Yeah. Well, there is a ton of pressure on them, but it would be a real shocker if they don't do it.
Yeah. Oklahoma playing in Oklahoma City. I mean, home area.
Close.
Sure. Yeah, they're
Oklahoma State's also in the tournament.
Okay.
So they're pretty darn close to. So the men, they start their quest for a national championship this weekend. Regionals, Wake Forest is the favorite, 4-1. That's,
that's
you don't think about Wake Forest as being a baseball powerhouse.
They produced a lot of pitchers for sure. David Price and pretty
they
pitchers. So, but year to year is different. But I guess we'll have to see what happens there. That's going to be exciting.
It's not like the women's where the favorites come through. There's going to be some kind of upset. Wake Forest probably won't win. So anyway, quick congrats to Northwestern's women lacrosse, who won their 8th championship. Notre Dame men, who upset Duke for their first lacrosse championship. Tennis's second major, French Open's begun. Gator, have we had any major upsets yet?
Well, the biggest one was number 2 seed Daniel Medvedev.
Yeah,
he's that was the biggest one. But the women, Joe, the 8th seed, the 10th, 11th, 12th, and 13th, they're all out in the first round.
Yeah, that's a pretty big upset. That Medvedev one. The women, I'm not totally surprised. But
because I think
the guy who beat him is number 172 in the world, Brazilian. This is a tough name, huh?
Thiago
Saibovic. How about that for a name?
Thiago.
Never heard of him. We're going to have to come up with some kind of nickname for him.
Yeah.
But you have to go back to 2003, the last time any of the top 2 seeds lost in the first round of any major. So that is a massive upset right there. But on the women's side, we're going to stay true to form.
Yeah.
It's going to be Swiatek, Sabalenka, and Rybakina are the 3 to look at. The men, that's going to be a little more wide open.
Now, Coco Gauff, she did win her first round, and Madison Keys, she won her first round as well.
There is, of course, a little controversy when you get these countries together. Ukraine's Marta Kostyuk refused to shake the hand of my girl to win the tournament, Arina Sabalenka, because she's from Belarus. Wouldn't shake her hand after the match, but you can't blame her with the war and all.
No, I know.
Terrible.
It's her prerogative.
Yes, but the gentlemanly, womanly way to do things is to shake hands after your match, regardless of
what it is.
They might have shot up her parents or something. I ain't shaking nobody's hands. It's killing my people, man. That's it. That's it.
But these are just athletes. They aren't actually the
People.
They're representing their country.
That's tough. Yeah. But anyway, Gator, let's flip over to Major League Baseball. Who are the hot teams we should be betting on right now?
Well, the hottest team is the team that Big Richard picked, Texas. They're at 8-2 this week. Last
8-2,
yeah,
and they're the number one hitting team in Major League Baseball with a 272 team average, and their run scores are 344, second to Tampa Bay, 269 to 336. So they are carrying a big stick.
Yes, they are.
Texas.
We were liking them before the season started.
We told you we could have got them at 40-1 to
Chris Butch.
And Chris,
gotta love that.
Gotta love Bochy.
Me being an A's fan,
making up some, DeGrom and picking up Seager. I mean, and your Oakland guy, what's his name?
Simeon.
Yeah. Say that correctly.
They're all over the place.
Now we had three teams,
guys.
We had three teams that were 7-3. That would be the Yankees, Arizona, and San Francisco.
All right,
kind of amazing.
And what are the cold teams we should be betting against?
Okay, well, I only have three that are listed here, and that'd be Oakland at 2-8.
Hey, they're on a 2-game winning streak. You hold on to that.
Well, it's still last 10, Joe.
Oh wait,
they lost today.
Oh, all right, 2-9. Now we're back on where we belong.
Yeah, they've only had one 2-game winning streak before this one, and that's why I bet them heavy to lose today, because I didn't see a 3-game winning streak and sweeping. Who are they playing? Tampa. They're playing Atlanta, who's favored to win the World Series with the Dodgers at 550 right now. So don't see a sweep coming.
Shocking 2 losses for Atlanta.
The other two teams would be Kansas City and Pittsburgh. Amazingly, Pittsburgh's on fire, but not this time. They're at 3-7 in the last 10. But we're 1/3 of the way through the season, and Pittsburgh just to win their division is 10-1, and I don't think that's a bad bet, Joe.
Well, if you look at their run scored and run against, I think Milwaukee is like -26. So what is it?
They're at a good price. They're at -110.
Pittsburgh is at +6, and you have Cincinnati above, right below them at -23, and then the Cardinals, who actually have pretty good odds, are at +7, but they're still 4.5 games out of first.
Yeah.
So that's just a good thing to look at. I mean, they beat the Giants today, so they might be a little bit better. So,
but there's good prices out there, guys.
Yeah, well, even though my A's did win those 2 games, they're still 12-46. No team had ever lost 41 games before June until the A's showed up. So
hopefully, I'm going to give you guys a sink or swim. Who has, as a batting team, the Padres are higher than the Oakland A's in their team batting average? And
They would have to be, you'd think, the Padres, but since you're asking,
I'm kind of thinking the same thing.
Maybe these are got to be batting slightly better because you brought it up.
Well, there's actually last week it was, but San Diego got a little bit hot. They're batting 222. Oakland is worse at -220. You can also get Oakland to win the World Series. That is 1,000-1.
Sure.
Or you can, if you catch your ticket in, they'll give you the Coliseum.
Right.
They're not going to be playing there anymore.
You can just have the Coliseum.
You can have the Coliseum or have your $1 million. I'm probably taking the $1 million.
Probably take the $1 million. You have to renovate the stadium.
You have to renovate the stadium.
They've been needing to do that for many years. And, So some other notes. Liam Hendricks, great story. Chicago White Sox pitcher. He pitched Monday. Recovered from non-Hodgkin's lymphoma.
Yeah,
amazing.
Totally recovered. Rang the bell. I saw that on the mothership. So nice to see him. Nice to see him beat cancer and then get back on the.
Yeah. He didn't pitch well, but after all those standing ovations and everything, he got a little emotional, and he wasn't quite there for pitching at that point.
Got the ball work.
Yeah. Would that be considered if you're crying? Something on the ball. I mean,
it's legal to me.
I don't know. The umpires check. Well, I have to check your tissue. I guess.
But yeah, I wouldn't consider that goop as we called it earlier. It's not sticky. I don't know. But Mike Trout, Angels, 85th person, passed Joe DiMaggio, 362 home runs already for Mike Trout. Craig Kimbrell, 8th pitcher to get 400 saves. Kenley Jansen.
Yes.
Just currently got his 400 earlier in the season.
Right.
And the top 2 in saves. Ooh, trivia.
Okay.
Mariano Rivera.
Eckersley.
52. Trevor Hoffman.
Trevor Hoffman. Okay.
601. So long ways to go to get to those guys. They'll never make it. Let's see. You got some real fireballers out there. This Minnesota guy, Juan Duran, and LA Angels, Ben Joyce. They're all throwing 100 mile an hour pitches. 104.6 miles an hour for this Duran guy. That's the fastest pitch of the year. And this Joyce guy, he pitched like 12 pitches the other day. 8 of them were over 100. So yeah, real fireballers.
Yep. You just get a change up on there. Was your change up at 94?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. Well, I guess he has a split. That
split finger,
split Duran that goes 100, and it actually has movement to it. So maybe this one guy you might want to start betting on, the starting pitcher, Bobby Miller. He's on the Dodgers.
Yes.
1.64 ERA after 2 games. He's coming in for a guy that got hurt. I can't remember now.
Oh, yeah. The
Urias.
Yeah.
So he could be someone to watch.
Yeah. Good job, Rockin' Ronnie. Good point. Because he gave us the Miller, Bryce Miller. He promptly lost after I bet on it.
Yeah.
Thanks, Raj.
Performance of the week, Marcus Stroman. Shut out the Rays, the hard-hitting, scoring Rays.
Yes.
1-0. He pitched the whole game.
Complete game shutout.
The Rays have the most home runs and wins and everything, and it was pretty amazing.
Right.
Let's see. Got time for injuries. Milwaukee shortstop, Willie Adames, 7-day concussion list. He got hit from friendly fire, sitting in the dugout. His teammate fouled a ball into the dugout, and he wasn't paying attention. Got hit in the head. Terrible. Yes. So Urias and
somebody said heads up, and he looked up and got hit right there. It should be heads down.
Yeah.
Urias and Max Muncy, they're out with hamstring injuries.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's not good. And Eduardo Rodriguez, Detroit's best pitcher, he's on the 15-day DL. Left index finger rupture. That sounds more than 15 to me, but we'll see how that goes. Yeah, Juan Soto and Machado. Let's see. Soto's okay for San Diego. Machado, he's taking batting practice, so maybe we'll see.
Yeah, they're lowest. They're only above the A's, and they have the highest salary. Is that what they have? Machado and
maybe
Tatis and Soto, and they're only above the A's.
Mm-hmm.
Well, maybe
that's amazing.
Doing a little better when these guys come back, hopefully.
Well, we're not the All-Star break.
We're 1/3 of the way, just as you put there, Gator. Good job.
Yeah.
I'm going to give you guys a little hot tip. Let's go for JP Sears for Oakland. Pitched good his last 4 outings. He pitched against the favored Atlanta Braves last night, and he had a great game. He outpitched Bryce Elder, had a stunning 2.0 ERA. Went to the end to the game, and I think it was 1-1, and ended up winning. So something to look. JP Sears will be going against Pittsburgh in his next start. It'll be either Monday or Tuesday. So keep that on. You'll get plus money on JP Sears.
Okay. Well, I want to thank Rockin' Ronnie McKinnon for that information. A lot of information there. But now it's time for the moments we've been waiting for. There's times where we get furious. We thought we were going to be holding on to winners, but in the end, something went terribly wrong. Those tickets ended up being losers. It's what we call the segment, You Got Hosed.
You got hosed.
Okay, Joe. Well, in Finland, Sunday night, U.S. was playing Latvia for the bronze medal in the Ice Hockey World Championships. Now, U.S., usually it's U.S. and Canada in the finals, but Germany beat U.S. 4-3, and in the finals, Canada did beat Germany to win their 20th title. But in this bronze medal game, U.S. was favored by a -265, and the game went into overtime, and with 1:22 left in the fourth period, in overtime, defenseman Christian Robbins scored his second goal of the game to win the bronze medal and give Latvia their first top 3 finish. Now, the best that they've ever done, Joe, was 7th 3 different times. But their country actually made a holiday out of it, even getting 3rd. Hockey is their national
Free
sport.
beer in Lithia.
Exactly. But I would have to say, if you had the United States just to win the bronze, I mean, you think they would win at minus 265. I think you got hosed a little bit.
Well, they won all 7 of their group games. They were 8-0 in the tournament until they got to the semis, and then they lose the semi and the bronze game, and end up
Germany too, Joe. They should have beat Germany
with no medal after all that. So that's a huge disappointment. But my whole story goes out to poor Penn State men's lacrosse team. Nittany Lions, they take Duke to overtime in the semifinals. So there's a Duke guy attacks the goal. There's a circle. You can't go inside and shoot at the goaltender. Well, this Duke guy, he clearly steps inside the goal and he scores. And everybody saw it except the referees. So Duke goes to the national championship. Well, Penn State, anyone who bet money line, they got hosed completely.
They got duked out.
Well,
I got one, Joe. I did bet last night. I bet last night because your Oakland A's has never lost. The only one time this year they won back-to-back games. So I took my money that I won on Miami against Boston, and I was happily went down to my local sports book and made a complete heavy wager on the favored Atlanta Braves. And I bet a pretty large amount of money thinking that they cannot lose to Oakland. Just take the minus 300. At least you get something. You're going to get money back. You had, like I said, Bryce Elder, 2-point ERA against JP Sears with his 4-point ERA. And, well, if Bryce Elder just gives up 2 runs, I mean, Oakland gives up 6 or 7 a game. There's no way you can lose that bet, right? Well, it was 1-1, and I still had a chance in the bottom of the 9th. They walked 3 people in a row. The egg list comes in off the bench, walks 3 people in a row. No one's even hit the ball out of the infield, even fouled the ball off. Then he struck somebody out, and then they hits one to the third baseman Riley, and he properly drops the ball. And instead of turning a double play and going to extra innings where I still have a live ticket, I got hosed. And thanks a lot, Riley.
Yeah, you got hosed.
You got hosed.
Thanks to everybody for listening, and we'll see you next week.
All right. Thank you, Joe. Thank you, Big
Great
Richard.
show, guys. Good information. Let's make some money this week.
Right on.
You've been listening to Covering the Field. Email us at coveringthefield@gmail.com for all your comments or questions. Find us on Twitter @CoveringField. And of course, always check out the website for our picks of the week and updated articles. coveringthefield.com.